It was a calm Tuesday evening along Cuba's eastern coast. The sea rested peacefully under the heavy, salty air. Fishermen mended their nets near Baracoa. Children laughed by the docks, and families sat outside their homes, unaware that the tranquil ocean before them was about to become a nightmare. Hundreds of miles away, meteorologists watched satellite screens with growing dread. A monstrous storm churned in the Caribbean. Hurricane Melissa. Just hours before, it had torn through Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane, with 180 mile-per-hour winds shredding towns and drowning entire communities. Now, it was barreling straight toward Cuba. Authorities issued the island's highest alert. Shelters opened. Military trucks rumbled through narrow streets with loudspeakers blaring. This is not a drill. Prepare for impact. But for many, the warning came too late. The sky darkened. The air grew heavy, and the first gusts carried a sound no Cuban will ever forget. Before dawn on October 29th, the first waves struck Cuba's coast. Violent, thunderous, unrelenting. Hurricane Melissa made landfall near Baracoa in Guantanamo province with sustained winds over 150 mph and gusts nearing 180. Walls quaked. Power poles twisted like wire. Entire fishing villages vanished under walls of water. Along the shoreline, waves 12 to 15 feet high pounded the land, smashing through the famous Malecon seawall. Concrete disintegrated like sand. Witnesses said it felt as if the ocean itself was breathing fire. Inside the city, chaos exploded. Roofs ripped away, trees splintered, and cars floated through submerged streets. Communication towers toppled, plunging more than 1 million residents into darkness. Military convoys struggled to reach the coast, their routes blocked by landslides and debris. In one shelter, a teacher described the sound, not thunder, but the earth itself screaming. By sunrise, eastern Cuba's coastline was unrecognizable. Baracoa, one of the island's oldest towns, had become a ghost city, swallowed by water, wind, and silence. As Hurricane Melissa pushed inland, Cuba transformed into a nation under siege. The storm crawled westward at just 5 mph, dumping nearly 30 inches of rain on the eastern provinces. Rivers burst their banks, swallowing bridges and towns whole. In Guantanamo and Holguin, massive landslides cut off villages from the world. Floodwaters ripped through farmland, flattening coffee fields and drowning citrus groves. Roads vanished under torrents of mud and debris. Power failed across the region. 85% of eastern Cuba plunged into total darkness. Hospitals switched to backup generators. Rescue teams waded through rising waters and falling trees to reach trapped residents. By morning, the familiar landscape was gone. Cities turned into islands. Fields became lakes. Once lively neighborhoods lay silent beneath the flood. Cuba wasn't just enduring a storm, it was battling nature's siege. As Melissa tightened her grip, Cuba launched one of its largest emergency operations in decades. More than 700,000 residents were evacuated before dawn from coastal and mountain regions. Military trucks roared through waist-deep water, crammed with families clutching food and blankets. Schools, churches, and community centers became overflowing shelters. Across Santiago de Cuba, streets became rivers. Rescue boats pulled families from rooftops while helicopters searched for life in isolated mountain villages. The wind howled through every corner of the island, scattering roofs and uprooting trees as rain poured in endless sheets. Despite the chaos, Cuba's civil defense worked with remarkable discipline, clearing blocked roads, distributing water, delivering medical aid through waist-deep floods. Even as communication failed and the power grid collapsed, their mission remained clear: save as many lives as possible before night fell again. By mid-morning, the devastation was complete. Cuba's lifelines, power, transport, communication, were collapsing one by one. Over 1.3 million residents lost electricity. Substations drowned. Transformers exploded. High-voltage lines whipped across flooded fields. Highways vanished under landslides while bridges connecting Guantanamo, Santiago, and Holguin were torn apart. Fuel deliveries stopped. Communities were stranded. Airports from Santiago to Bayamo were shut down, their runways underwater. Ports faced 20-foot waves, halting Cuba's critical sugar and nickel exports. Agriculture, the heart of Cuba's economy, was crushed. Coffee plantations in the Sierra Maestra lay in ruins. Citrus groves drowned. Entire harvests disappeared overnight, threatening months of food shortages. As communication networks fell silent and hospitals relied on fading generators, the storm didn't just drown Cuba's land, it suffocated its economy, leaving behind a country gasping under the weight of silence and ruin. When the winds finally eased, a new battle began: survival. Within hours, the world responded. The United Nations, Red Cross, and aid groups mobilized convoys of food, medicine, and generators for eastern Cuba. Spain, Mexico, and China sent emergency teams and water purification systems to Santiago and Guantanamo. Cuban soldiers and civilians worked side by side, clearing debris, repairing roofs, and restoring power block by block. In flooded towns, neighbors shared food and light. Shelters became centers of hope. Exhausted doctors and nurses treated the wounded by flashlight, working for days without rest. Amid ruins, resilience became Cuba's greatest weapon. Families rebuilt homes from salvaged wood. Children carried food to the elderly. Across the island, one truth echoed louder than the storm: Cuba may be battered, but it will never break. In the aftermath, the scars stretched far beyond the floodwaters. Hillsides of the Sierra Maestra collapsed into rivers now thick with mud. Farmlands once rich with coffee, citrus, and sugar lay buried beneath layers of silt. Thousands of acres of fertile land were stripped away. Decades of work erased in days. Saltwater poisoned aquifers, deforestation worsened, and wildlife sanctuaries remained underwater. Mangroves ripped out by the roots. Coral reefs suffocated under sediment. Economically, the blow was crushing. With ports crippled, exports of nickel and sugar halted. Tourism, already fragile, collapsed. Roads destroyed, hotels flooded, livelihoods gone. Early estimates placed damages at over $3 billion. Recovery would take years, not months. Hurricane Melissa had done more than destroy buildings. It shattered the balance between Cuba's people, land, and future. As Cuba begins its long recovery, Hurricane Melissa stands as a grim reminder of a planet growing more volatile. In mere days, one storm erased decades of progress. Homes, farms, and dreams swept away. Yet amid the ruins, humanity glowed brightest. Neighbors became rescuers. Children comforted the elderly in shelters lit by candles. This isn't just Cuba's story. It's the world's. From the Pacific to the Atlantic, stronger storms and rising seas are rewriting our future. What we rebuild today will decide how we survive tomorrow. If you believe these stories matter, if you believe awareness can spark change, share this message. Like, comment, and subscribe to help amplify the voices of those living on the front lines. Together, we can face a changing planet before the next storm arrives.